Hey guys.
Hey,
Hey, how's it going?
I look terrible. When your daughter has surgery in the morning, that's what you look like when you're on the other side. Crazy. Look at all the friends. All right. She is recording. I'll just say hi and then you can have at it, friend. I am beyond spent today. I was like, that was foreshadowing for you to say, why don't we do it today? Because I've been out of pocket all day. All right, well, this is Ashley. I don't really know how I met her, but it was like a year ago. It was back before I got pregnant, I think, when I was all gung-ho and then I had hormones all crazy. I don't know. Anyway, she is the social media queen. In my next life, I'm going to be as cool as she is. And I've used several of her, she does month-long blocks of what to post. They're great for new coaches. They're great for people who are faking stuff on social media for 2 months when I couldn't tell anybody you were pregnant, including our family. She does this, what is the name of the class that I took that was I had to tell my story? I wrote all my...
Oh, yeah, it used to be called the 21 Day You Challenge, and now it's Branding Boot Camp. But yeah.
There you go. So I did her branding boot camp. She's real people and awesome. And if you're coming to Colorado, you're going to be in the room with her for 3 days. So I asked if she would come on for those, there's lots of them on here that are coming with you to Colorado, and for them to be able to pass that on to their teams. I asked her if she would just come on and just be amazing and fill a little bit of belief in ourselves and excitement to see her in person in 6 weeks. So that's really it. The coffee group, if anybody is doing the Shakeology coffee group, I'm bumping it another Monday. 2 reasons for that. One, I suck as a leader right now, and I could not get my act together for today. The doctor called at 9 a.m., and I was going to plan posts and stuff, and it just didn't happen. So I'll go live in there after this call's over, and I'll just apologize and say, you are welcome to do your Shakeology this week if you already have it, but we're officially going to do all 5 days next Monday. If you have your pumpkin spice and you haven't had anybody buy packets, that gives you an extra week to be able to do that. So that is my failure. Maybe you're to have somebody else try it. I still have 3 people that I haven't mailed packets to, and I send them messages, and I was like, look, this is just life right now. So anyway, that's your pumpkin spice update. Everything else is pretty quid pro quo and FAQ if you need it. Without further ado, you're on my left over here when I'm looking at it. So here's Miss Ashley Shaw, y'all.
Thank you so much for having me on. Can everyone hear me okay? Does the sound jumpy, or are we all right? We're good. Okay, cool. I hate when that happens, where it jumps around, and so that's good. Okay, I'm jumping right into it. I'm gonna share my screen here. So I actually think we had met through Kristen. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about how this all sort of came to be. Just a couple of minutes to talk about that. First, I guess what I'll do is I will just mute everyone so we're good here. Let's see. I think we're all good otherwise. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So today we are going to be jumping into, I haven't done this presentation actually for any of the Beachbody teams. This is something, it's brand new for Beachbody, but it's something that I used to do a lot of training on working in fitness clubs. So I come from a background of 16 years in corporate fitness. Everything from, I started wiping down equipment. That was my first job in a gym, to running 8 clubs as the president of a fitness company. So I'm going to tell you all about it, but my name is Ashley Shaw, and I'm so grateful for you guys jumping on tonight to learn about the science of changing anything. So just super quick, my jam is all about eliminating the marketing overwhelm. I think that it can be, there we go, perfect. I think it can be really challenging as an entrepreneur to try to take on being the executor of your business, and then also having to have like a marketing degree to make sure that you're like showing up on people's feed. So that became something that was really important to me because I love fitness. I love the fitness industry, but I saw this disconnect between, trying to go in and really show up online and trying to juggle all the things that you've got to learn to be able to do that. So I've done over 500 presentations, live and online training sessions. And a lot of my training background came from teaching sales in the fitness industry. And I've taught over 1 million students. And when I became an entrepreneur for the first time was when I was 14 years old and started my own Hello Kitty business. So I've got a long line of history within having that entrepreneurial mindset, training and development, simplification, and then working in fitness. So what I'm really all about is I help eliminate the overwhelm. Hold on, I'm going to throw this down. There we go. I help eliminate the overwhelm in their marketing efforts so they can have the business of their dreams. That's how I really strive to help fitness coaches. That's my mission. And that is in everything that I put out there, whether it be social media posts, the Facebook group that I run, which is called Business Bootcamp for Fitness Coaches. It's a free group I run, but it's all about eliminating the overwhelm in marketing. Okay, so this is, we're gonna get started right here. So most people believe that if they could only be more motivated, they would get results. And often we see messages like this. Can you guys raise your hand if you've ever seen something like this on social media? You didn't come this far to only come this far. Have you seen that before? Can you put up your hand if you've seen a motivation? Okay, cool. So when you read that, you're sort of like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, I got to get more motivated. I didn't come this far to only come this far, right? And you might also see something like this. That's like, you just work harder. Like, just get out there and hustle. And, again, same sort of thing. You've got this. And I get it, right? Like, we've been told our entire lives that we just need to be more motivated more of the time to succeed. So what we tend to do is we tend to pass along that message to the people that we influence. We tend to tell them, like, it's just all about motivation. Like, I didn't feel like my workout today, but I did it. Like, I pressed play, I did it. And we spew that out there as well, because that's what we've been told you need to do to be successful. You just need to be more motivated. And so if that were true, that we just needed to be more motivated, everybody that had all the motivation would be successful. Like, all those people that you deal with on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, however often you deal with those customers, people that you want to become customers. Let's call them prospects. You meet them, the ones that have the motivation, but there's something that just holds them back, right? And it's sort of this unexplainable thing. It's like, they've got all the motivation. Why don't they see the success? They tell me they're motivated. Something is not connecting here. There's a dot missing. And those could also be coaches. Maybe they're people on your team. Maybe they're your kids. Maybe they're your friends. They say that they have all the motivation, and then something happens. They lose all that motivation and they fall off course. Have you guys come into contact with these people before? You guys know who I'm talking about? Maybe you're like, self-admittedly, maybe you're one of them. You're like, I was so motivated to do that. And then, I don't know. Caitlin, I love it. And then you're like, dang, like, I don't even know what happened. I was so motivated. So the key to the lesson here is that there is a problem. There is a problem with this formula of thinking, I just need to be more motivated and then I will see results. And the real problem is something called the willpower trap. So whenever we have something that we just can't seem to figure out, like we have this goal, or our prospects have this goal, customers or coaches, whenever we can't seem to figure it out, we tend to lump it all together. And we put a label on it and we call it motivation, or we call it willpower. I just don't have the motivation or willpower to achieve what I want to achieve. And we sort of end up leaving our own dialogue, like that we're having, if it's with ourselves, let's say, we just leave sort of disappointed and we're like, oh, better luck next time. I'll just try it again. And this is definitely, well, the first thing about it is it's actually, I'm gonna use this in quotes, it's tragically wrong. And here's the reason why I say that is that it's incomplete. It's not that it's tragic because like, well, you didn't have the motivation, but it's an incomplete cycle. And it's wrong because it gives us nowhere to go when we fail at it. There's no cycle, there's no next step to really help us understand why the I'm going to use again quotes failure happened, or why the challenge happened. It leaves us nowhere but to start again at the beginning and say, be more motivated next time. And it's a disappointing cycle that begins with the commitment to change, which is followed up by this decreasing motivation to stick to the plan. Probably had those people you've coached before where they are so motivated in the beginning, then they don't see the scale budge, where is all their motivation where it lies, and then they just give up. Because they're like, that loop is just, they have nowhere to go when they see that failure. They just think, oh, like I just don't have enough willpower. I just don't have enough motivation. So therefore, in order to change, one must really become aware that there is more than just motivation working for and against you at all times. So this is the really good news, is that what we've been taught is an incomplete model. There are actually 5 other sources of influence working upon you at all times that are either pushing you towards your goals or holding you back from achieving them. And that if you are simply telling yourself, I need to be more motivated, someone help me, motivate me, like get me more motivated, we are missing 5 crucial other factors in this equation. So we need to stop being blind to them. And once we're aware of them, we can start to change them, and we can start to move them in the right direction. So I'm going to tell you about something called the marshmallow test. But before I do, I want to share a little bit of an aha moment that I had. Like, I guess it's been this most recent mastermind that I've joined. So anytime I look back in my career, when I was in the fitness industry, I got to these points where I was like, I became, I don't know if unhappy, I'm going to use the word unhappy. I became very like unhappy in the place I was in. And I knew I needed to do something different with where I guess like just that moment in time, it was like, this is so painful for me right now. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. I need to change. And what I instantly did is I sought out a coach. And the first one was a business coach. And he really helped me like put my skills into place that I needed to be able to apply for more advanced positions and some different companies that I wanted to go to. And then the next one I had was I've worked with various like psychotherapists and different therapists along the way. Again, like working on skill set, like how to move away from anxiety, how to deal with like crucial accountability, these high stakes conversations where I wasn't communicating what I deeply desired and needed in my career. I was like slying away from it and then being super unhappy. So I would work with these different people, these coaches, and my life would like drastically change. And the most recent example is I signed up for a mastermind that was all about Facebook ads and all. I really wanted to learn from someone who had walked the talk, who had sort of, done really well and is making 7 figures online. And I wanted to learn from him. And it was like instantly, he taught me a couple things and I was like, dang, like I'm serving so many more people. And so it's this trail, right? We all know success leaves clues, but every time I have made huge strides in my business, like the first one, I like doubled my salary going from one job to the next. It was within a 2-year period. I was like, this is just nuts. Like, how does this happen? It was all related back to one of the sources of influence. For me, that source is so important. So that is the power of this stuff when you start having it work for you. So, okay, so before we jump into what these 6 sources are, I'm going to talk about something you may or may not have heard about. It's called the marshmallow test. So have you guys seen this? where they put the marshmallows in front of the kids? No. Okay, you got to watch this after, well, maybe tomorrow or something. I'm sure it's probably going to be late there when we finish at 9 o'clock your guys' time. But so there's a study called the marshmallow test. This was done in Stanford University in 1970. And the purpose of the test was to understand when the control of delayed gratification happened. So they put a marshmallow in front of a kid and they said, okay, if you can eat this right away, but if you wait 15 minutes, we're going to give you a second marshmallow. And so, like these 5 and 6-year-old kids, most of them, like right away, like just take the marshmallow and eat it right away. But there was a certain group of kids that were successful with waiting and delaying gratification. And what was so interesting, they record all this and watch them. The ones that are most successful have these different things they do. Like some of them like put a cup over top of the marshmallow and just don't look at it. Like just avert their eyes, like keep looking away. Some of them have like this finger tapping method where they're just like like distraction. Some of them are swiveling in their chair. They have all these skills that they've learned to delay them thinking about what's in front of them and just jumping into it. So it's a really interesting example of how the sources of influence are at play, and that when we learn skills to help us with the challenges in front of us, it will help you become more successful in what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so the step towards applying these sources is something that is going to be fairly straightforward, but you need to study yourself. So instead of going into this or going into day-to-day life, have you ever I don't know, sometimes in business, or let's use the scale as an example too, we get into it and we look at the numbers or we look at the scale and we're like, oh, you're terrible. This is horrible. How could you have let this happen? And we get so emotional about it. And we allow ourselves to just sort of go on this big slide down to the bottom. And we allow it to determine the rest of our day, our week, our month, our year, whatever it may be. Here's the problem. We're not looking at ourselves as the science experiment that we are. We don't have all the answers yet, but success leaves clues. And there are all these factors that are working around us and upon us that if we can get those in line with the goals we're trying to achieve, we can be wildly successful. So I want to challenge you guys when you're talking to your challengers, when you're thinking about your own experience and there's goals out there you want to achieve, instead of jumping the jump to conclusions mat that we get on when we're bad result, not what I wanted, you're bad, you need to do better. I want you to pause and I want you to think about your surroundings. I'm actually going to give you guys a template at the end of the presentation here that I want you to start using whenever you go towards an end result that wasn't part of the plan. I want you to utilize this template to start to unpack what's really going on instead of jumping to that emotion that is absolutely not helpful and won't push you in the direction you want to go. Some people will say you can shame yourself there. I've never found that enjoyable or really helpful. So we want to avoid that. So there are 6 sources of influence, and they are always acting upon us to either move towards the change we want or to misguide us in a different direction. And knowing them is the most powerful part of this process. So we're going to think of this in 2 scenarios. We're going to think of this as someone, you can think of it in more than 2, obviously, there's probably 3 at play here. Our own actions and what goals we might be trying to achieve. We can think of this as a customer that we're working with to try to help them achieve their goals. We can also think of it as a coach, someone that we're trying to coach up in the business and trying to get them to where we want them to be. Okay, so there's 6. We're going to start with the first 3, which fall into motivational influences. And we're going to dissect each of these deeper and get into the definitions, but I just want to show you the 3 that fall into motivation. So it's not just one. So there's personal motivation, there's social motivation, and then there is structural motivation. And I'm going to give you guys the handout or the PowerPoint, so don't worry about having to write everything down. You can if you want, but I'll make sure you get a copy. So there are 3 of those influences under motivation, either helping us achieve our goals or taking us and subtracting away from us achieving them. And then you've got 3 more, which fall under ability influences: personal ability, social ability, structural ability. So when we think of the 2 that fall under, let's say, personal motivation and personal ability, it's about the person. It's about me, and what I want to, like, it's just about me, about no one else. When we think about social motivation, social ability, it's all the peers around that person. It's everyone they come into contact with: the husband, the wife, the kids, the parents, all those people around them. Structural motivation and structural ability is about the environment in which we surround ourselves with. So all those things are acting upon us, and a lot of people just think there's one, but there's 6 things that are influencing our decisions. So what they say is that when you can get 4 of these 6 sources in line with the goal that you want to achieve, that is how you become successful, when you get 4 of those 6. Now, most people get so freaking close to getting to their goals, they just need 1 more source in place, or 2 more, but they just end up giving up, right? And not moving forward. So that's why it's really important to track this stuff. Have you ever had those people that are super great when they have a deadline? They have like a trip coming up, so they like won't eat like an extra pea. They're like just so dedicated. That is one of the extra sources of influence working towards them, right? That is a structural motivation. They've got a deadline. They've got a date and a reward in mind of when they're going to get to their goal by. So that's an example of one thing working for them. Okay, so we're going to talk first about personal motivation and really break this down. So personal motivation can be summed up into figuring out how to love what you hate. So more often than not, the things that we should do when we want to change ourselves are boring and uncomfortable, right? I get it all the time from, like, I'm going to give an example of like my mother-in-law. Whenever she talks about working out or exercising, she's like, oh, like I hate it. And you can tell it just makes her uncomfortable, and therefore she doesn't want to do it. So we often look at the present when it comes to changing, and we don't look at the future. We're just stuck right here. It takes something to be more uncomfortable for someone to change than they are right now. So this example, my father-in-law, they were in Florida, my in-laws, on vacation, and they weren't exercising consistently. And my father-in-law found out, he got really sick and found out that he had diabetes while he was in Florida. Ever since that day, he will go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, because what is more uncomfortable than working out is being really sick and feeling really crappy and possibly losing his life over it. So you can see that shift there. When something becomes more uncomfortable for someone, they will commit to it. You'll also maybe hear from people, they'll say like, oh, like I just tried to try on some clothes and nothing fit me. Like I would legit have to buy a whole new wardrobe, like, so when you experience that pain and it's greater, your personal motivation will change. So looking at this source of influence, we're asking the question, are you really motivated? Is your why strong enough to accomplish this goal? And so what I would ask you guys to think about is, if we're thinking about how to use this in challenge groups and, different posts we're putting out there into the world, think about like asking your audiences, like, why are you really here? Like, why did you really join this group? Like, let's say it's a challenge group. Be really clear on this, because when people say, I'm here because I don't want to prematurely like not live to see my kids do like reach all the milestones in their life, like that's really powerful. And people don't want to say things they're not willing to really do. So getting really clear on why they're there and vocalizing that in the group is a really good way to make sure that personal motivation is in the forefront. Another thing is a visualization board. That's all part of personal motivation. Like, put it right in front of you what you're going after. Maybe for you guys, that's Colorado. Maybe that's being, like going to Summit next year in New Orleans and just like being on the track you want to be on. Like any of those things, if they are motivating you, they will get you through some of the hard times that might be a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, next we're going to move into social motivation. So this is social motivation are the people you surround yourself with. And if they're also motivated to achieve the same goals or are in support of your goals. So you want to surround yourself with people who care whether you succeed or not. Because if you're surrounded by a bunch of people that are like, why would you want to lose weight? Like, it's not going to be easy for them, right? You need to find models. These are the people who determine our view of what is normal, such as if you're eating too much and everyone else around you is eating the same amount, you don't see yourself as binge eating. It's normal because everyone else is doing it. And I'll give you guys an example of this. I just moved back to Ontario. I'm in Canada. And I was living like 5 hours away from my husband and ended up coming back, living in his hometown. His parents are our neighbors. And we were living in their basement while we were building a house for 6 or 8 months. And I'm telling you, how I used to eat and how I started eating when I was around everyone that was like, it's Pizza Friday. It's not that tacos can't be healthy, but it's tacos from Takeout Tuesday. Like, just consistent, like, normalizing of eating out, like thinking the gym is horrible, and like just surrounding myself with this, it normalizes it, right? So it's like, instead of like getting mad at yourself and being like, why can't you resist? Why don't you have enough willpower? Look at your environment and how can you start to change those things, right? The next one is to find friends. These are the people who are who keep you on the right track towards your goal. They model good choices. They speak up. You know, I think all of us probably have friends that are like, you know, on the weekends, well, at least like when I was in university, it was like mimosa Sundays where you would go and like, I don't even know how many mimosas you would have on a Sunday, like a lot, like too many, right? And that is perpetuated by the people you surround yourself with. Like, I don't do that when I'm alone on a Sunday, but if it is the right mixture of people, I will definitely have mimosas on Sunday morning and then feel like crap all day. So it's all about those people that you are surrounding yourself with that are offering you advice and cheering you on in one direction or the other. So thinking about that question, are the people you surround yourself with really modeling and doing the things the things needed for them to be fully supporting you? That's a question you want to ask. And so how this comes into the world of coaching is, this is about telling your challengers and your prospects about like why accountability works. Like, why would they want to join in a virtual accountability group? Well, the science says that when you surround yourself with the right people, you make the right decisions. You see it as normal that everyone gets up and works out. Everyone has, you know, like, let's say like Shakeology in the morning to make sure they hit their protein goals, that they're curbing cravings, that they're getting all their superfoods. Like, that becomes normal when you surround yourself with people that are doing it all the time. So it's so important to surround yourself with the right people. It's one of those check marks in the boxes that helps you achieve your goals. Okay, next we're going to move on to structural motivation. So this is developing incentives for you to keep your plan to change. So as we go about our lives trying to improve or change a lot in life, we neglect to use incentives as a way to motivate ourselves. We either forget about them or think that we can succeed without them. But this needs to change, because incentives can be a really great help to succeed in your plan to change. So you want to think about, what's the reward for achieving your goal? And this is actually where I feel like Beachbody is like so superior to any gym I ever worked with. Like, when you look at all the material that they provide, so structural, we said, is outside of the people, right? You look at all the material you're downloading, you've got different menu plans, you've got different trackers, you've got workout trackers, you've got take your before pictures, take your after pictures, you've got all these structural things working to motivate you to do the right things every day. It sounds so silly, but when I put the trackers on my fridge, I work out when I'm supposed to. Or the meal plan, and I use my containers. Like, I fill it up and I don't go over it. It's so silly, but it's one of those things that really works. It's structural motivation. So this is about really planning how are you going to reward yourself as you hit those little benchmarks along the way. Some people are those to-do list people that like a check mark is enough of a high that they're like, yeah, that's off my list today. I'm one of those people. Like just checking it off is, I don't know, somehow it's weirdly satisfying. But also the before and after picture too. Like if I'm following all my checks, my food and my workouts, the before and after picture also feels like a bit of a reward too, to see the changes that are being made. But make sure you have those planned things. And that could be a part of your challenge group, right? Is putting those things in your challenge group to tell people you should be celebrating. Like you've got through another week, like awesome job. Okay, now we're going to move into ability. So personal ability. This means doing the things that you can't. So you're not like personally able to do them because of skill set. So this, like most human beings, when you seek to make a change in your life, but end up falling off the wagon, you obviously feel disappointed in yourself. We all do. You blame your willpower for the failure because it seems like the most logical choice. However, most failures of change come from a lack of knowledge, which is personal motivation, or sorry, no, this is all personal ability, lack of knowledge or missing a missing skill. So this all has to do with training. So you know when you get a new coach, you hire them, they come on your team, and they're like not successful, they might not know how. Like they're really motivated, they want to be successful, but they're like, I don't know how to do a post, like, and get people to take action. Like, I just don't know. So you want to think about what additional skills do you need to learn to achieve your goals, right? So another example would be my mother-in-law doesn't cook at all. Like legit, she will eat cereal or peanut butter and jam every day if no one was cooking for her. Skill set, she needs to learn how to cook healthy. Like it's not going to get her to her goals, right? Her goal is to lose 30 pounds. She needs to learn how to prepare some healthy food for herself before this is ever going to be in line for her to achieve her goals. So teaching this is about taking the bull by the horns and educating yourself on those skills that are holding you back from achieving your goals. Maybe it's something like building a team. Maybe that is a skill, like you are just not sure. Rather than like just sitting in the struggle, it's about reaching out and finding the right resources to educate yourself to help you get to where you want to be. All right, next is social ability. So this is surrounding yourself with people that know how to get to your goal. For example, that's why a fitness coach is so valuable. Like you have direct access to somebody that knows how to get in shape, lose weight, build muscle, whatever your goal is, and you can reach out to them. They're right there. These are the people who know what you need to do to stay on track, and they speak up, they hold you accountable, they offer advice. Coaches are the people who work with you by coaching you through the process of fulfilling your change. So some examples of these people might be a specialist helping addicts kick their habit. It might be financial experts assisting overspenders, or fitness coaches working with people who want to be fit and who want to eat healthy. So who do you have in your corner helping you skill up when you need it? This is why I think for me, having a mentor or being part of a mastermind has always been super helpful. Like I'm a very motivated person, but if I get stuck, I get overwhelmed really easily. I need someone to just tell me what to do. Just tell me what to do, I'll do it. That is why for me, social ability is so important. I need to be surrounded with people who are accomplishing the things I want to accomplish. And that helps me achieve whatever I set out to achieve because of that. So this is really about thinking about your challenge groups and how comfortable does everyone feel reaching out to other people in their accountability group. That's an example, right? Another example might be when you're posting on social media, talking to your followers about who they have in their corner. Like who can they reach out to that can teach them something, and having those skill sets. Like we all need someone to reach out to when we feel like we don't know how to get to the next level. So that is what social ability is all about. All right. Lastly, we have structural ability. So for structural ability to work, you need to learn to control your space. It's been shown that our physical surroundings affect our behavior in ways we don't even see. Have you ever heard those people that are like, yeah, I need to put my alarm clock in my bathroom to wake up. I need to go get it. That physically gets me out of bed. That is structural ability. You have to get up to go and get it and shut it off. That is how these people get up for the day. That's why it works though. In order to stick to your plan of changing, you must be able to control the environment around you. So an example of this would be, do you have healthy food accessible, or do you have to make it when you want to eat healthy? Like, I know myself, I ain't like, crafting something from scratch if I haven't planned for it. It just ain't gonna happen. I'm not gonna go to the grocery store, get all those things and make up something, with homemade crust or whatever it is. But if I spend a little bit of extra money and I go to the fancy grocery store and they have all the foods already pre-made, I'm going to eat healthy. So I've heard, have you ever heard of Timothy Ferriss? You guys heard of him? He's like this human guinea pig. Anyway, he calls it, when people complain about spending money on food, he calls it ab tax. And I just love it, right? Like, you got to pay a little bit more money to have the body that you want. Like, food is more expensive when it's good quality. So it's ab tax. Get over it. I just love it. I just thought it was so on point. Okay, so this step here is really about thinking about for your customers, your challengers, your prospects, what do you have accessible in your kitchen? For me, I can't have chips. I can't have chips in my house because I know I'm going to eat more than I plan to. But I know that about myself. I don't bring it into the house. That's the structural ability that I put up for myself. I'll buy the fancy food from the grocery store to make sure my fridge is stocked up with stuff. That's how I get around it. But it took a long time to learn that. It's the same with wine. If I have wine in my house, I will make a reason to celebrate and have a glass or two. If I don't, and I just have my husband's shitty beer, nope, I don't need a drink tonight. I'm good. So I've learned these things about myself and how these sources work for me and how I've needed to put them into place to just make it easier to be successful. No, sorry, wrong way. Okay, so I wanted to, I wanted to share one thing. This is one example out in the world of how AA actually works. So as you guys may or may not know, when someone joins Alcoholics Anonymous, they teach you a bunch of things and skills that you will do to help yourself not fall into that habit again. But one of them is that you have a supporter. So that's one thing, right? If we think about the sources of influence, that is going to fall into social motivation and social ability. You have someone you can call at any time if you're feeling like I may have a drink or I'm going to be in a situation that I'm not sure how to handle it. You have someone you can call. Same with the meetings, right? Not only are they they're structural because it's this meeting that you're supposed to attend, but it also is all the people around you, that social motivation and social ability. They teach you about not hanging out with the same people that you used to drink with. So there's all these things that this isn't just something made up. There's a real science behind if you want to change. And I think that that's what makes me the most interested in this. It's not just putting out things on social media because it's trendy or whatever. I love to teach people and use social media as a platform to really help educate people so they don't feel as alone in their struggle. Because we all know, I don't know, when you aren't on the right track, when you feel like you're not eating well and maybe you're over consuming and drinking too much, it's a dark place. You just don't feel good, But if you can teach people these skills and these things to help them, you can absolutely help them change their life. So I feel that's why these facts are so, so very important to be able to share. This is the book that all of these facts have come from. It's called Change Anything. And I'm going to plug this other book that they've also written, only because it's the most powerful, life-changing book I've ever read in my life, and it relies on the same 6 sources of influence. So this one is obviously about goals and achieving personal success. They have another book, it's called Crucial Accountability, and it uses the 6 sources of influence, but it talks about the fact that 80% of people get divorced because they can't hold a crucial accountability conversation safely. And they talk about these 6 sources of influence that I've just taught you guys about, and how you can unravel and unpack those to make sure that you can have the right conversations, instead of it going to like being very emotional and telling yourself stories and all these different things. So if you're all interested, the book is called Crucial Accountability. Best book I've ever read by far. Most life-changing book for sure. Okay, so I wanted to let you guys know that handouts are coming. I'll have those to you guys by tomorrow, and it will include basically a worksheet that you can work through all the different, those 6 sources of influence, and looking at those different things that you can play around with and tweak in order to get the right sources into place. So I'll just, if you guys aren't a part of Business Bootcamp, I'll just tell you about that quickly. It's a free group I run for fitness coaches. And so I do a lot of Facebook Lives. I answer a lot of questions, and it's just to have a support community for coaches that feel like they just want to talk about all this stuff. Not necessarily like just with like a whole group. There's like 1,800 coaches in there. So you get advice from all different places and things. The other cool thing I wanted to show you is, so for my, so you guys probably already know this about me, but I create done for you marketing plans. So everything from posts to freebies, to email series, to challenge group posts. And in September, I did something really different. I started creating the challenge group posts with the 6 sources of influence in mind. Just because they've been playing on my mind a lot. I was like, you know what? Like, I know that this is super important if someone's trying to change. Why don't I start utilizing that as a template to start sharing more of this? So I just wanted to share this with you guys because Julie actually posted this, and I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, there are the 6 sources of influence at work right there. And so it talks about your environment and external influences playing a huge role in your ability to achieve your goals. So I just thought it was so cool. Like, I saw that and I captured that as soon as I saw it. And I just thought it was awesome to see like the 6 sources of influence put to work, and to be able to give you guys an example of what that actually means when you start sharing some of this, the science behind this. Yeah. So anyways, that's all I have, guys. I don't know if anyone has questions or wants to work through any examples. I'm always happy to chat on Messenger as well if you guys do have any questions. I guess, do I have to unmute everyone? I don't know. I forget how this works with the muting situation. Can you guys unmute yourselves if you want to talk? Probably, eh? Okay, cool. Does anyone have any questions or have any aha moments or examples they want to go over?
It took me a while to find with the screen share. Can everybody see? Because I was like, I had to find my unmute button. I loved at the beginning when you were like, I knew you were going to talk about this book without talking about this book. So it was great. Am I frozen?
No, I can hear you.
I can't see anybody. So it was great.
All right, let's see if there's any questions here in the chat.
My husband was laughing in the background. He's over here and he was like, ab tax. That's freaking brilliant.
You guys have to use that this week coming up in a post. It's too good. Okay, let's see. Name of the book. Oh yeah, Crucial Accountability is one. And then the other one is the science of change. Oh no, it's called Changing Anything. Yeah, okay. Oh, and where do I do Branding Bootcamp? Really good question. So it's one of the courses I have. I've sort of separated my programs into 2 things. One is like done for you. And then the other one is like, it's called Do It Yourself. Like if you want to learn how to like structure stuff and like work on your copywriting, it'll all be under the do it yourself. What I'll do is I'll post the link for it. It used to be called the 21 Day You Challenge, but it's being rebranded because it was like impossible to do it in 21 days. That was a very big overestimate of the time it would take someone to do it. I was just getting started at thinking it would take 21 days. So anyhow, I will share the links with you guys so that you can find it and it's easy to navigate. Oh, the Facebook group is called Business Bootcamp for fitness coaches. And I can share that as well. I can share that with Nicole to give to you guys if you want to join.
Yeah, you can just post it in the team page if you want to.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm totally good to do that. Yeah.
You can add it to files or whatever and then.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I will definitely do that. Awesome. Does anyone have
I knew what I was going to say at the beginning of the call when you said, I love that, changing something doesn't mean that you're not at your best where you are. And that's one of the things as we talk through this retreat for Colorado and the vision for the end of 2019 is realizing I am exactly who I need to be at this exact moment. And I may want to reach goals that are different from where I currently am, but that doesn't mean that I am not, and you are not, and our clients are not where they're supposed to be at that point. And I love that, that we have to stop comparing our businesses and our posts and our amount of likes and our fitness journeys and all that stuff, and just realize and love on where people are right where they're at. I love that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because my mentor, his name is Rick, he had a post the other day in our mastermind and he said, what do you guys think is the quickest way to 7 figures? That's a good question, right? So everyone has their answer and they're putting it out there. And everyone's like, well, Rick, what do you think the answer is? Like, he's making 7 figures. Like, you want to know from him. And he's like, get really clear. Like, what's your flagship offer? What is it that you really do? And don't stray. Be like, the more that you become you, that is what will get you to wherever you want to be in your business. It's like, it really hit home for me. Like, you don't be trying to be anyone else, but who you are is a shiny object. And the more that you can lean in to who you are, what you're really good at, and like, quite frankly, like he talks so much about when you get to the point you can start outsource what is not in your wheelhouse. Like, don't try to learn stuff you're never going to be a genius at. Just focus on what you love to do and what you're really good at. And that is how you start to like exponentially grow your business.
Yep. Love that.
Right on. Awesome.
Friend, thank you so much.
Oh, no, you're so welcome. Thank you guys so much for jumping on, and definitely feel free to shoot me a message on Facebook. Yeah, you guys are like, obviously add me to Facebook if we're not friends already. And I really appreciate your time, guys. Thank you so much.
All right.
Cool.
See you in like.
Okay. All right. Night, guys. Bye.
Bye.